your engagement with the problem of evil I found really helpful was the view that humanity is so. I'm reading too many books at the moment. I've just got it in my mind that it might not be your book, but the idea that humanity is the problem, the solution must come from outside of humanity. Is that your book, or is that?
That was me. Yeah,
that was you.
Hey!
I'm reading Rebecca McLaughlin's book at the moment.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just had it in the back of my. Oh man, I'm reading too much. So yeah, just I find that so helpful in that we have to. The problem of evil and the problem of suffering is just as big a problem for non-Christians, I think, and for me personally, I find, and I'm a father of a special needs girl, and wrestling with that has forced me to go into the whole issue of suffering, and I'm friends with a guy who's fairly agnostic atheist who's also wrestling with special needs stuff, and he's got just as much like wrestling to do as to why is this happening to his kid, and I'm able to go, well, actually I see the world this way, and that's helping me figure out that actually my daughter has purpose, has meaning, has love, has brings joy, and suddenly I can see where God comes into that. And for him, it's a real opportunity for us to have this conversation, but it's something that he's really wrestling with, because I want to go, your son has amazing, beautiful purpose, even in this pain.
Yeah.
And he's gradually coming in, and we're having some really interesting conversations because of it. But yeah, the world is messy, and the atheist has to recognize why. And oftentimes they don't. And I find that really, I find that emotional argument, just as you're talking, is probably one of the bits that I don't see it enough in apologetics. That it is very much a rational, let's have another answer, let's have another argument, let's have a debate as well. As soon as you start asking why, which many scientists and things, we can't ask that question why because we don't know. Well, actually, we need to know. That's innately inbuilt. That's our psyche.
Yeah.
And, we want to find out meaning and purpose, and
that's the human experience. That's, I mean, we can't. We cut out our heart and then say, "Why can't you love?" You know, it's like that's the human experience. Is that we do want to know the why behind the purpose for things. Do we matter? I mean, if you look at why people, the people who end up, not everyone, but lots of people who have depression, and the answer for them is like to end it. You know, is they don't see the value of their life. They don't see the purpose or the why. It feels meaningless to them. Mm-hmm. And then you have atheism telling you, well, I'm sorry, life is meaningless. I mean, you got to own up to that. Yeah. And yet our experience is that when we succumb to the meaninglessness of our own life, we despair to the point of not even wanting to live. Yeah. Right. So there's some problem here with our thinking that's not being resolved easily. Like when I hear atheists say they finally left the Christian faith and now they're liberated, I'm like, from what?
Yes.
From grounding for your faith. So what I think that's kind of, I'm being kind of trite there, but I think it's the liberated from this community that's so hard to live in. Yeah. Right. It's so hard to live in. And that is a liberating feeling when you just don't have to answer to anyone. You don't have to deal with their hypocrisy. You don't have to have all that going on in your life. You can just do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But it's not liberating in the sense of what is it liberating you to? And I do explore that in the book as well. It's like, well, there's not really, what answers are you giving for human meaning, value, and purpose? What answers are you giving for, you believe that things like right now, you believe there's racism. How do you ground that? Yeah. Where do you get an idea like something is racist and therefore evil? Mm-hmm. Right. So you got to ground that somewhere. And when I'm liberated from everything, then I have nothing. Right. So listen, if you can see through everything, then you see nothing.
Yep. And again, that well overused. I wonder if Dawkins regrets writing it, but the well overused quote of his, the blind, pitiless indifference of the universe quote, that's I think in most apologetics books as well.
Oh yeah.
And how do you? I mean, even he doesn't live by that. He's always pointing out things that are wrong on his Twitter feed. Well, if it's blind, pitiless indifference, well, why are you telling me that it's wrong? And society says so doesn't work, because why is our society telling other societies what they're doing is wrong. And as soon as you zoom out a bit, you start seeing actually more and more, well, which society is right? Well, okay, and why would we say certain people should have rights? And it gets really messy really quickly. But I'm more and more confident that once you're grounded in the Christian faith, and I think Tom Holland's book Dominion does a good job of showing how the West is founded on Christian ideas and morals, and you just ask someone, why is it wrong? And it becomes very subjective very quickly, and you go, I can't live like that.
Right.
that does not fulfill me.
That's one of the things I pointed out in the book, is no matter, where you're at as you're reading the book. For me, I've never been that much of a relativist to where I'm into nihilism. Like nothing matters, and I just create and everything. All the values are created by me, and they're really delusional anyway. So might makes right, So the man with the microphone, the money, and the power, that's the values that we adopt. I've never believed that, even when I was atheist. And so I couldn't go back to a philosophical view that doesn't substantively undergird things like justice and injustice, good and evil, human value and purpose, or just human value and meaning. Is there meaning to life? Or are we just a bunch of meat machines that live and die and go back to the earth, and nothing's of any ultimate consequence?